Hello, my name is Zachariah with Old Man Gaming. You, dear listener, have decided to listen to another Snap Judgment review. What is a Snap Judgment review if you've never listened before? Well, I think reviewers nowadays get a little caught up with 100%ing or near 100%ing a game before they're willing to do a review, and then they end up forgetting what they felt when they first played the game. So I get about 5 to 10 hours with the game that I'm reviewing, and I'm just trying to give you an idea whether or not you're going to enjoy it right away or not. That, coupled with the fact that I think games are one of the most subjective forms of art, I won't be giving a score to this review either. I'll be telling you an overview of what the game is. Then I'll be giving you a list of the pros and the cons of the game, in my point of view, as all reviews are. And then I will be telling you whether I personally will be sticking with this game outside the purposes of this content. So, disclaimers out of the way. We take a look at Rebellion's new open world, hard to even define what it is, but open world first person shooter, I guess. Atomfall. Atomfall, what is Atomfall? Well, Atomfall is, like I said, first person. Can't do third person, at least not in any way that I've been able to see. And you just wake up. You wake up as... there's no character creator thing. You wake up in this strange town back in, I believe it was the 50s that they're looking at time-wise. But there was this nuclear disaster in Great Britain back then, and this is kind of a reimagining of that with some, otherworldly stuff. And basically this entire section of Great Britain, this entire, area is just walled off and quarantined because of what happened with this power plant, and the fictional science company around it called Bard. But you wake up with no memory of who you are, no memory of how you got there, just in a bunker, and that is all the game gives you. This is one of the interesting things about this game. We're going to talk about it a lot in the pros. Is that it doesn't tell you where to go. It never tells you where to go. There is no blinking waypoint. There is no, dotted line. There's no move here. You can go to the map. You can mark the map so that it'll show up on your compass if you want to decide to go to an area. But overall, you have to talk to people. You have to talk to characters. You have to collect notes and whatnot to figure out what's going on, to figure out the mystery of this whole thing. Throughout the course of this, you'll meet several factions because people have survived inside the quarantine zone. You'll meet the protocol soldiers, which are kind of like this military faction that's kind of sprung up of soldiers who are trying to keep the peace inside. You've got your standard bandits who bear striking resemblance to Clockwork Orange characters. You've got the druids, which are all weird kind of cultists who think they can hear the soil talking to them, and honestly, due to the nature of the contamination that has walled them in, that has forced them to get walled in, they might be able to. And then, of course, there's just the citizens of Wyndham, normal people who have been left behind to run bakeries and alehouses and trying to make do in this weird subsection of post-apocalyptic kind of world. It's kind of an interesting premise. Basically, it's a post-apocalyptic... Oh, my man, I can't talk today. Sorry, guys. It's a post-apocalypse game without an apocalypse. The apocalypse is localized, so the rest of the world has gone on ticking while you guys are inside this wall and just stuck here while you're trying to figure out this whole mystery thing. Because of this, it's very interesting. It kind of forces you to interact with the world in a way that I don't think in my many years of playing games I have ever had happen to me, which we're gonna talk about. You can collect guns and fight with your gun. You can collect guns. You also collect a slew of melee weapons to fight with. I think this is one of the few games with first-person melee combat that really didn't feel that bad, because you always have a kick open to you that can give you some distance or help you time attacks. And then, of course, there's the usual accoutrement like stealth attacks. There's a few collectibles to collect. There's a lot of British context here from old British shows. My favorite being the Doctor Who reference that is very heavy in Skelthmore that I enjoyed quite a bit. You have a health bar that does not regenerate, which is interesting and kind of more on the realistic side. One thing that's really weird is this game kind of calls itself a survival game, and I would not call it a survival game. I mean, not in the strictest sense of the genre. Usually when you're talking about a survival game genre, there is a food or hunger monitor that you have to constantly keep track of. You also usually have to craft or build your own domiciles and stuff. While there is some crafting in this game, well, a fair amount of crafting in this game, it's all for items and equipment that you will use going forward. You never have to eat or drink, but eating replenishes health, which is interesting. The health is very squishy in this. There are some skill trees that you can collect these little items around the map that allow you to put points into the skill trees, which again, this game is all about exploration, like just all about exploration. They have refined how to make a person explore a world that I have never seen before, because even the experience points, even your skill points and your skill trees are directly related to you finding things. And once you found that thing, you can't get it again by going back there, so you have to go find more of them, which means that you have to keep exploring. The missions that you go on, you don't just like collect a thing and then it sends you to a place and you fight a boss and it's done. You collect a note that might lead you to another note, that might lead you to a person, that might lead you to another place, and there's no waypoints. It's like, hey, I left it by the red tree in the forest, or if you go right and then left at the stream, you might find the cellar, which will get you closer, and you have to figure it out from there. It makes things really interesting as far as how the world and missioning is going on, which we'll talk about a lot more in the pros. I don't want to get too in the weeds in this. But the survival aspects really aren't there. It's much more like a first-person shooter with a lot of collecting. What's also interesting is the inventory space is really small. Everything you pick up or craft takes up a spot. There's no stacking, so you can't have like 3 bandages to a spot or 5 bandages to a spot. You have some bandages, that's a spot, period. So you really have to think about what you're taking with you at all times. And then, like I said, you're squishy. You feel like you have the same health bar as everybody else, and that means something. You will sneak through combat. You will take combat very seriously. You will try to stay out of combat. You will find tricks around combat. You will know right off the bat, after your first combat encounter, that you're going to go down if you're not smart about the fighting, which is, again, a very interesting thing. It pushes you to find terrain, to try and jump people, to remember where stealth points are, places where you can hide, and I really found that interesting. But without getting into too much spoiler territory, that's all I can really share with you about what the overview of the game is. And I definitely don't want to get into spoiler territory. And honestly, I'm almost 10 hours in, and I don't even know what's going on yet, which is really fun. So let's go ahead and get into the pros and the cons of the game. Before we do get into the pros and the cons, I do want to say right off the bat, usually I give a con to a game that doesn't have a character creation system, mainly because I like to play my own character. I like to play my own type of game, and I think that starts with character creation. What's interesting about this, though, is this has no character creator, and I'm totally okay with it, because the character creation is not in what you look like, it's not in what your stats are, it is literally in how you move through this game, which brings me to my first pro, which is true freedom. I have played video games. I've been alive for 43 years at the time of this recording. I have played video games for, I would say, 30 plus of those 43 years. With that in mind, I have never played a game that I can remember that works this way, that tells a story in an open world this way. And I think every open world going forward should take a note from this. I recently did a review for Avowed, and I said that Avowed did a really good job of telling a story in an open world instead of the collectathon of icons that you get with Ubisoft. This refines it even more. There's no icons. The only icons on your map are locations. Like, that's it. That's what's on there. Not collectibles, not side quests, not main quests, not missions, not waypoints, nothing. It is just a damn map. And you have to go find something and move through it. And what is really cool about this game is it defies all loops. It makes you create kind of your own loop in your head. I'm going to rant about this for a little bit because this is, for me, transformative as a game, just a gaming experience. And I didn't even think, this game wasn't even on my radar. I literally downloaded this game because I wanted to have something to review this week because I knew I wasn't going to have the podcast. I knew that we were light on podcasts. So a couple of weeks ago, I downloaded it just because I knew I could do a review on it and I could have something for a week that I didn't do the podcast. That being said, I'm so happy I did. There is no game that does narration like this. Case in point, there's an item called a signal detector. A signal director that I really wanted to get. I knew that there was these objects that I required them for, and I wanted to get it. And I found a piece of paper leading me to a person who might know where a signal detector is. So I went to that person. I prioritized that. I had plenty of other leads. That person was supposedly in a barn to the north. So I found a barn. I found that person. Then the person gives me a couple of different things. They say, hey, the signal director was invented by this person named Dr. Garrow. Dr. Garrow's in prison. You might be able to get into prison to get her out. She would know where it is. The only thing else I know is that that there was this shipment that was trying to get out of the town, and it was caught up in this kind of like schmoz at the very beginning of quarantine. It's called the Windfall whatever. And I was like, okay, well, I'll try and find it through the Windfall. That led me to a note. That led me to another note. And about 4 hours into this, I realized I was in this area that I knew I wasn't even supposed to be in, or didn't think I was supposed to be in yet. And I had been there so long that I completely forgot there's a whole nother city that I wasn't going to talk to people about. Usually in games like this, you go to a city, there's tons of people to talk to that'll give you quests. All sorts of quests. Then you go out of the city, you do those quests, you come back and you collect your reward. That's just not how this game works. This game works about like, how do you want to progress the storyline? How best do you think you're going to get to your goals? It gives you amnesia. So it forces you to ask the question, who am I and why am I here, right off the bat. But that will lead you to the next thing. And that's what's great about this. The entire character creation is how you play this. You can literally kill everybody in Atomfall and still complete the game, I think. I haven't watched the videos as to whether you can or not, but I'm pretty sure you can. I even tested this. There is the main character of the protocol. The Army Protocol is a military general leader who I did not like. Right off the bat, I was like, I'm going to be irritated by this guy. He's all about control. I don't like him. So I wanted to test the game. So I broke his neck. I waited until we were mostly alone, and I snapped his neck with a stealth takedown. He's dead. All his quests resolved. That was it. And then I stole the keys off him, went into his office, looted it for some notes, which gave me some leads to some other things. Maybe I would have gotten those through him. Maybe I would have gotten some other missions through him. But instead, I just moved on to the next thing, and he's out of my life. That's amazing. This is something Skyrim used to do. You used to be able to kill any NPC and deal with the consequences. It was something I tested in Starfield when I tried to escape from a prison and I killed the main character. The character wouldn't die. They just kept going to a kneeling position. That kind of stuff's irritating. It makes me feel like I'm channeled through the game. It makes me feel like I'm funneled there. It makes me see the illusion of true open world play, which is that you're actually on this narrative beat and they're tricking you. I mean, that's what open world games really are, is they're narrative games that are tricking you into believing you can do whatever you want. This game lets you do whatever you want. it's still kind of tricking you because there's still a goal. You still have to figure out how to get out of the quarantine zone, and all roads lead to point F or whatever. But how you get there is completely your own. Do you want to go violent? Do you want to go passive? Do you want to talk to everybody? Do you want to hide from everybody? Like, how do you want to play this? Do you want to be helpful? Do you want to be hurtful? The shopkeepers, do you want to trade with this guy, or do you just want to break his neck and take his stuff? Like, this game allows you to do it any way you want. Truly, not from a level of like almost any way you want. I mean, any way you want. And that for me has been such an intoxicating experience that I haven't been able to put this down. I mean, I love the fact that like I am questing for a thing I want to find. And once I found it, now I get to decide what I'm looking for next. And I think that is such a cool way to do this game. I get to decide what I interact with, what parts of it I interact with, and that's truly open world game right there. So, now that I'm done with it, huge freaking rant. I'm going to go on with some more pros. These will be smaller and quicker because that one was the big one. Combat, I think, is really good. There's some wonky AI stuff in this, I will say that. I have definitely noticed some AIs doing some weird shit or being a little stupid when it comes to doorways. But overall, the combat makes you feel very... Like, if you put... I put it on the normal difficulty it starts you on, which is the survivor difficulty. And combat's real. It's real dangerous. You can't just go in and mow down 17 guys and smile at the camera. This is one where you really have to think about how you fight. Can I take more than one? Oh, definitely. Can you take more than one? Oh, definitely. But also, ammo is actually scarce in this game. I am constantly having to switch my shortcuts as to which guns I have because I'm running out of ammo. Oh, I'm out of rifle ammo. I need to switch out my shortcut to the pistol ammo. And then, oh, I'm out of shotgun ammo. Now I'll do the bow and stuff like that. I think it's really cool, really interesting way to kind of look at things. And that's, again, another thing that adds to the freedom. The combat is not about the stat points or the skill trees. The play style is about how you want to play it. And they make it all possible. Deep conversations. I love how many options you get when you talk to people. It's not one or two. There are a lot of ways you can go about discussing things with people, coming to understand them, how you deal with them, whether they're going to reward you or not, whether you're going to trade with them. There's no currency in this game whatsoever. It is literally like bartering. Like, there is a little scale and you have to get your thing above so that you're giving them at least even or more, and then you're just bartering, which I think is really cool. Like I said, the game's level of interaction with the game is second to none. And again, on the true freedom, on the exploration point, this game, I have played thousands of open world games, and those open world games have huge in-depth maps that I never see because I talk to, after the first 5 minutes, I talk to a person, that person tells me where to go, I go directly to the thing, then I go back to the person. That is just not how this game works. This game makes you scour the countryside for leads and ammo and skill points and everything you need to survive, answers. Like, this game forces you to interact with as many corners of it as humanly possible. Which brings me to my final pro, which is how they do fast travel. And that is, for the most part, there's no mechanism for fast travel. Fast travel does not exist within the confines of this game. You cannot pick a place on a map and teleport there instantaneously, which, amen. That's the first point to making somebody experience a game, is not giving them a way to just jump around the map like some sort of teleportation person. However, I also understand the point of view that some people are like, I don't want to backtrack all day long. What this game does is it there are these little sections of the map. There's the interchange, which is also part of the main story, but there's the sewer, and both of these places connect to all the larger overworld maps, but they're smaller maps. So like if you find the sewer entrance, you can go into the sewer and quickly go through a couple of tunnels and pop out in any other big giant map you want. It makes backtracking not that bad, but it also still forces you to interact with the game and gives you something to do because you have to clear out these sewers and the interchange regularly. I think that's really cool. I think that lends itself a little bit more to that realistic surviving this situation sort of feel. I'm getting really in the weeds on this. I know I'm up to 19 minutes. I went way too long on the True Freedom thing, so let's get into the cons. Let's go through them real quick. First-person melee. I said that it's not that annoying. I still hate first-person melee. I'm always going to list it as a con. It's just not something I like to do. It's not something I like to interact with. If I'm doing a melee game, I want to be able to see the person. I want to have periffs. This game has no sort of third-person mode, so I gotta say it's irritating. I don't necessarily think you can do this game without first-person melee, so it's hard for me. It was a hard decision for me to put it on the cons list, but I still gotta call out what I don't like. And if you're a person who doesn't like first-person melee, this will be less annoying than some other games you've played, but it'll still annoy you when you have to do it. My next one is the weapon comparison system. One of the things they do to kind of make it feel more realistic is they don't give you stats. Instead, like if you have a gun, it'll tell you like average damage, low range, high recoil or whatever, and that's how you'll know. And then maybe causes bleed or causes shock. That's how you'll know kind of whether your gun is better or worse than the gun you're picking up. The problem is though is they don't necessarily compare what you have in your thing to the thing. You have to kind of like go into a menu and then scroll through a bunch of stuff to kind of try and figure out which one's better. I wish there was a little bit better of a comparison system where I could just like click on one of the weapons on the ground and have it compared to the weapon I'm holding. That'd be a little bit easier. It doesn't have to give me stats, like I said, but it already says, you know, the things. I would love to see next to it, this one's high damage, this one's low damage, this one's high range, this one's low range, and I'll know which one to use for my build. I would prefer that. I was originally going to say a con on here that there's not enough quick shortcuts, but I kind of think that's part of the survival aspect. There's only 4. You use your directional buttons, and you can assign weapons and items to quick slots where you just press that button and it equips the item. Look, I personally, I think 4 is a small amount, but I like the fact that you have to like. That's part of the survival aspect. You have to kind of switch between what you have weapons, what you have ammunition in, I guess. So I'm not going to list that, but I guess be aware of it since I have mentioned it. And then finally, there is some small bugs, some small clipping issues that I found a little bit irritating. There was one bug where it locked in my menu screen and I couldn't back out of the inventory screen. I had another one where the game made it so that I couldn't move. And then I had another one where the sound cut out. And then I had on the clipping side, I was trying to stealth kill someone and they were on stairs in front of me, and it wouldn't give me the stealth kill option even though I was right behind them until we were on level ground, which I found a little bit annoying. So depending on the incline, it causes some issue there. Little stuff, nitpicky stuff, like all your nitpicky stuff is right here, right? Little bugs. None of this has hampered my experience to a point where I've been upset, and the autosave system is pretty good that I haven't really lost anything going back. So, whether or not I'm going to stick with it, the answer is yes. You know it. I know it. We already done this dance. I want to finish this game. And I haven't wanted to finish a game in a long time. Avowed was fun, but the minute I started playing it, I knew it was a time filler. I knew it was a game that I was playing till I found something else, you know? There are those games that I like to play that just, I play eternally. Like, every once in a while, I boot up Skull and Bones as long as that survives. For Honor, and hopefully Towerborn when it comes out. But this is one that I want to finish. I need to find the answers. I need to figure out what's going on. in this town and with me, and I'm very excited to do that my own way. So, did I get it right? Did I get it wrong? You guys let me know in the comments below. Sorry I went so long on this one, but again, this experience was pretty cool for me, just because it's hard to surprise me nowadays. But if I did get it wrong, let me know. Comments below. You can also reach us on Facebook at OldManGamingDH. You can reach us on X at OldManGaming9. You can also reach us on Blue Sky. You just have to search up Axiom Games LLC /OldManGaming. And as long as you guys keep watching and listening, I'll keep making them. See you guys next time.